Right, so good afternoon everyone. We're dealing with maths N2. This is my first N2 video that I'm going to be uploading. Normally it's on the other levels, but now we have been dealing with fractions, factorization, but not everything. Okay, we're dealing with a bit here and there. We haven't done all the difficult examples. I'm adding on a few more examples. Okay, so this is addition and subtraction of more advanced fractions. So where I've just taken out just three. These are examples from the textbook that I should use when I was in high school. Okay, this is more like grade 10. Okay, so the stuff that I've sent to you on WhatsApp also, right? But now this is the very important type of examples to deal with. There's much more difficult ones, but I want to start with this one first. Right, although it's not in order here, I want to start with this one first and then we can move on. Alright. So this is the one I want to start with, where we have 3 all over x minus 2 minus 2x all divided by 2 minus x all squared. Right. So now, here I need to subtract these two fractions. The denominator is definitely not the same. X minus 2 is this is not x minus 2, it's not the same. Okay, so what do we do? Now, here, if you look at the denominator, here we got x minus 2. That's the first denominator. The second denominator here, you have 2 minus x all squared. Okay. So these are completely different if you leave it as is. Now, if you go and multiply these two denominators here, watch what will happen. So if I find the LCM of what I have here without doing any tricks here, then the LCM is going to equal to x minus 2 times 2 minus x all squared. Alright, so what does that mean now? It means now that I need to go and multiply this x minus 2 by 2 minus x all squared. That's what it means. Then I need to multiply 2 minus x all squared by x minus 2. Right, so it can be done that way. However, we can make it simpler. Okay, what do I mean? Right, we can make this a bit simpler. So if you look at this x minus 2, so let's take x minus 2. So let's take x minus 2, and if I take out negative 1, I'm pulling out minus 1. Although it's not common, but I'm pulling it out. So watch what will happen. So if I pull out a minus 1, that means I'm dividing by minus 1, dividing by minus 1. Alright? So therefore, this will be minus 1, and x divided by minus 1 is minus x, and that will become a plus 2. So therefore, the minus x plus 2, if I just write the 2 in front, it becomes 2 minus x. It's similar to the 2 minus x here. Now, can you see that? In fact, 2 minus x is 2 minus x. It's just that this one has a square. So this is okay, but it's not an efficient way to work out this problem. Right. So this one here, we do not want to do this here. Okay, we don't want to do that. You will see why. Now, what do we know now? This x minus 2. When I take out the negative sign, it becomes 2 minus x. Now watch what I will do here. So before going and finding the lowest common denominator, check your denominators. If the only difference between them is the sign, then you do this here. So I got 3. Now what I did there was I took out the minus 1, and this became 2 minus x. Minus 2x all over 2 minus x all squared. Now, I took out that negative 1. I did show you the working there. You can see that. You cannot leave the negative here. Now, what sign was here originally? If there's no sign shown, it's a positive. So now, a positive divided by a negative is going to be a negative. So that becomes minus 3 all over 2 minus x minus 2x all over 2 minus x all squared. Now, watch here. Alright. So now, the LCM. So, the lowest common multiple. Okay, so this is the most important concept to understand when you are dealing with fractions. So the lowest common multiple of 2 minus x and 2 minus x all squared. Right, so we got these two. Now remember, I told you that if I ask you for the LCM of 4, 2, and 8, let's take a simple example like 4, 2, and 8. Okay, so 4 can be written as 2 squared. 2 is 2 to the power 1. 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, so that will be 2 to the power 3. What do you notice about the basis of these 3 terms here? It's 2, 2, 2, that means they are all the same. So if they are the same, you do not go and multiply 4 times 2 times 8. That is not how the lowest common multiple works. So the LCM is equal to, you take the base with the highest power. Remember, the base with the highest power. Can you see that? So the LCM of 4, 2, and 8 is 8. So what does that mean? It means the LCM, this is like a 2 and a 2 squared. Don't get confused when you see 2 minus x. The fact is, this is 2 minus x to the power 1, and this is 2 minus x to the power 2. So therefore, the LCM of that is going to be 2 minus x all squared. You take the base with the highest power. Now, once we got that sorted out, now we have to go to each fraction and make sure now that the denominator is common. That means every single denominator must look like the LCM. So what do I mean now? So you check now. This denominator is 2 minus x, but the LCM is supposed to be 2 minus x all squared. So what must I multiply 2 minus x by in order to get 2 minus x all squared? All I have to do is multiply it by itself. So there's it. 2 minus x, 2 minus x. Can you see that? So what did I just do now? I am rewriting an equivalent fraction. Okay, this is what it's called, equivalent fraction. So now that my denominator is common, can you see that? Now that the denominator is common, how many times do you write it down? You write it down 1 time. So that will be 2 minus x all squared. Because this is 2 minus x all squared. And then we work out the top, so that's going to be minus 3 times 2 minus x minus 2x. Let's remove these brackets. Okay. So if I remove the brackets here, I got minus 3 times 2, which is minus 6. Minus 3 times minus x, which will be plus 3x. And then we got minus 2x all divided by 2 minus x all squared. And now we can just work this out here. 3x minus 2x. So that will be just minus 6 plus x. 3x minus 2x is just 1x. Okay, so that's x minus 6 all divided by 2 minus x all squared. Now, this is what did I do now? Going back, I noticed that these denominators Right, x minus 2 and 2 minus x, the only difference between each term is the sign there. Okay, so I decided, let me change x minus 2 to become 2 minus x, and there's it there. I could have went the other way. That's not the only way to do it. I could have taken 2 minus x and made it x minus 2. Right, so that was the first one there. How do you know if your answer is correct? If you're sitting in the test or the exam, substitute a value for x here, substitute a value for x there, and you must get the same value, the same answer. Alright, so that was the first one. Let's deal with the next one. Alright, our next example now. Let's not waste too much of time. So I want you to deal with this one first before that and this one. Right, so yeah, let's deal with this. Now, how many fractions, how many terms do we got here? We got term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. There's 4 terms here. You can see that? Now, the rule when we're dealing with fractions is try and factorize everything. Now let's see, what do we need to factorize here? This needs to be factorized. It's a difference of 2 squares. Can you see that? 9 is 3 squared. This can be factorized. I can take out a common factor here. I can take out a common factor there. Let's see what's going to happen. Right. So from here, this is equal to 2 all divided by 3 minus x all squared plus 3 all divided by x squared minus 9 is the same as you know. I don't have to write it in standard form. X squared minus 9, that's a difference of 2 squares. So that will be x minus 3, x plus 3. Right. Here I got plus 1 all divided by 6 minus 2x. I can factorize that. I can take out 2 as a common factor. So if I take out 2, then 2 times 3 will be 6 and 2 times negative x will be negative 2x. Check it. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times minus x is minus 2x. Right. Plus, I got my 1 all divided by 2x plus 6. I'll take out 2 as a common factor. What am I left with here? X plus 3. Alright, so now let's look at the factors that we have. At the moment, how many different factors we have? We have 3 minus x all squared. We have x minus 3. We got x plus 3. This is repeated. This is repeated here. So, as it stands, how many different factors we're dealing with? Right, so let me just write that down. So, without doing any tricks here, as it stands, we got 3 minus x all squared. We got x minus 3, x plus 3. We got 2 times 3 minus x, and then we got 2 times x plus 3. Alright, now without doing any tricks, I'm going to show you again. The complicated way to do it is to just do it as it is. It will be very complicated. So what do I mean? If I want to find the LCM here, if I want to find the LCM of this as it is, okay, so I got the 2. There's my 2 to the power 1. Can you see that? What else? I got 3 minus x all squared, 3 minus x to the power 1. So I'm going to take 3 minus x all squared because that's repeated basis. You take the higher power here. You clear with that? What else I have here? X plus 3. That's all. Am I right? Oh, and x minus 3 too, sorry. And x minus 3 because x minus 3 is not the same as 3 minus x. Definitely not the same. Right, if you leave it as it is. So how many different factors do we have here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, x minus 3 is not the same as 3 minus x. It's not. So it's going to be a problem now for you to work this out. A problem meaning that it's not incorrect. This is correct, but this is not a way now that's going to be efficient. It's going to take too long because if you look at your denominator here, 3 minus x all squared, you still have to multiply it by 2, by x plus 3, by x minus 3. It's going to be a problem there. Can you see that? Now, you need to be smart, just like how we did this example. They don't just rush into something, just take a minute and check first. Alright, so now, we don't want to do this. We're going to try and simplify this even further. Alright, so now, what can I change? So I got 3 minus x, x minus 3. I can change the x minus 3 to 3 minus x if I want to. Right, this is what I'm going to do. So now, let me just erase this here so you're clear with what's happening. Now what I want to do is reduce the number of factors in the denominator when we finally do it. That's what I want to do now. So if it can be reduced, do it in the beginning, it's going to work out nicely. So I want to take the x minus 3, take out minus 1 as a common factor. I'm just showing you. Take out minus 1 as a common factor, so x will become minus x, minus 3 will become plus 3. So this becomes 3 minus x. It's the same 3 here. It's the same minus x. I didn't change it. Now, I'm going to look for all the x minus 3's. Change them first. Right, so let's go here now. So this is equal to, so I've got 2 all divided by 3 minus x all squared plus 3 all over x minus 3 is the same as minus 3 minus x there. And I got my x plus 3, I got plus 1 over 2 times 3 minus x plus 1 over 2 times x plus 3. Right, so let's see what happens now. So I got my 2 all divided by 3 minus x all squared. That negative sign that I took out from x minus 3, you can see there's it here, I just showed it to you. There's a negative sign. Positive divided by negative is a negative 3 all over 3 minus x, x plus 3, plus here. This was already 3 minus x. Huh? And yeah, this is as it is, there's nothing to do with it. Plus 1 over 2 times x plus 3. Now watch the LCM here. Alright, so now let's write that down. The lowest common multiple of the denominators. Now the lowest common multiple of, let's start with the first one, which is 3 minus x all squared. Then we have, let me just write it in one line here. 3 minus x, x plus 3, and then we have 2 times 3 minus x, and then we have 2 times x plus 3. Right, so we got these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 denominators. We want the lowest common multiple of the denominators. That's what the LCD means. Lowest common denominator means the lowest common multiple of all denominators. So now, this is equal to, now it's going to be simpler. You can say, look for repeated factors. I got 3 minus x to the power 1, 3 minus x to the power 1, but this one is 3 minus x to the power 2. So therefore, I'm going to take 3 minus x to the power 2. Because those bases are repeated, take the higher power, always. Now, you've got x plus 3 to the power 1, x plus 3 to the power 1. X plus 3 to the power 1 is the highest. What else do we have? We got 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 1. So let's take 2 to the, is there anything that we left out now? Nothing. Can you see how it's reduced to just 1, 2, 3 now? Can you see that? Now, we go back and we're going to start writing equivalent fractions. So I got my 2 over 3 minus x all squared. Check. Now this denominator, I'm going to do one by one here, the proper way to do it. Right, no skipping any steps here. So this denominator, compare it to the lowest common multiple of the, in other words, this is now the LCD now. Okay, so what's missing here that will make it equal to that? What's missing there? It's the 2 and the x plus 3. But it's a 2 and the x plus 3. You're clear with that? Next fraction now. Let's deal with this one here. So that's going to be minus 3 all divided by 3 minus x times x plus 3. So now let's check. Now compare. I got this. I don't have this, so I must multiply by 2. And this is a square, so I need to multiply. It's supposed to be a square, so I need to multiply by 3 minus x, because 3 minus x to the power 1 times 3 minus x to the power 1 will give me 3 minus x to the power 2. So whatever you do in the bottom, you do on the top. So there's an equivalent fraction. Okay, so let's do third term there. So that's plus 1 all over 2 times 3 minus x. Now let's compare each factor here. We got the 2. 3 minus x, this is squared. So I need to multiply this by 3 minus x times 3 minus x gives me 3 minus x all squared. What else is missing? X plus 3. Whatever I do in the denominator, I must do in the numerator. Remember, this is you're actually multiplying. Each term is being multiplied. This is the number 1. This is also 1. And that is also 1. Right. Did we leave out anything? One more term there. Then I got plus 1 all divided by 2 times x plus 3. Now let's compare. I got 2x plus 3 here. 2x plus 3. What's missing here is this one only. Can you see that? 3 minus x all squared. 3 minus x all squared. Now, they all have the same denominator. If you have to cancel this, in other words, undo what you just did, then you are able to get back to the previous step, to the previous step. You must be able to undo everything that you do. Right, so you can check it. Now, only now, once the denominator is common, it's clearly common now. It's all denominators are common. We now can write down that denominator one time, which is 2 times 3 minus x all squared multiplied by x plus 3. Right, so if you're going from here to here, that is not a correct way to do it. That is skipping a very, very crucial, important step that will catch up with you. Right, so you must understand how to write an equivalent fraction. That means you go from here to here, then there. Okay. Now, what do we need to do? We need to multiply this whole thing out on the top. Right, so now be careful with this here. So I've got 2 times 2. Basically, this is 4. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, remember this is a 4, yeah? So 4 times x and 4 times 3. Be careful here now. I've got minus 3 times 2. So the result here is what? Minus 6. So minus 6 times 3, which will give me minus 18. Minus 6 times minus x will give me a plus 6x. Right, you can work it with me here to make sure I don't make any mistake. Now, let's multiply. We'll do it the long way. So I'm going to go 3 times x, which is 3x. 3 times 3, which is 9. So I'm done with that. Minus x times x is minus x squared. Minus x times 3 is minus 3x. Alright, now this one, the square. 3 minus x all squared. What does that mean? 3 minus x all squared means 3 minus x multiplied by 3 minus x. We can do it this in one step, or we can, let me just do it the long way. Okay, I'm not going to do any tricks with you. I'm going to do it the long way. I'm going to multiply 3 times 3. That will be 9. 3 times minus x is minus 3x. Then minus x times 3 again. Minus 3x. And then minus x times minus x will be plus x squared finally. Now let's look for like terms and add them up. Let's hope that this works out nicely. Alright, so let's look at all the x squares first. Let's look at all the x squares first. So I've got a minus x squared and a plus x squared. That's 0. So x squares are out. Let's look at the x's now. Allow me to cancel it. Alright. Okay, so that and that is out. Alright. Now, let's look at the x's now. Let's look at the x's. So what do I have here? I have 4x plus 6x, which is 10x, plus 3x, which is 13x, minus 3x, which is 10x again, minus 3x, which is 7x, minus 3x, which is 4x. Am I right? Yeah, that's 4x only. So we got 4x. What about the constants now? Constants, which are numbers that don't have any variables. So let's work this one out. We got 12 minus 18, which is minus 6, plus 9, which is 3. Okay, plus 9 again, which is 12. Is that right? Just 12. Just double check it. It looks like, yeah. Correct. So it's a 12. Anything else? Nothing else. All divided by 2 multiplied by 3 minus x all squared times x plus 3. Now, what do you notice about this after I simplified the numerator? You always add up your like terms, right? I noticed that 4 is a factor of 12. That means I can factorize this even further. So if I take out 4 as a common factor, what am I left with now? X plus 3. All divided by 2 times 3 minus x all squared times x plus 3. Oh, it's working out nicely. You can see that. Now, you can see that x plus 3 and x plus 3 will cancel. So, I'm left with 4 divided by 2, which is what? Which is just 2 all over 3 minus x all squared. Because x plus 3 and x plus 3 cancel, 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. So that was this example. Let's see, do we have time for another one? No. Time is up. Alright, so we continue next time.